Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Maharaj Parikshit. He knew he only had 7 days to live. So he was inquiring, what is the duty of a person who's about to die? What should they do? Well, get their affairs together, make sure their assets are allocated to where they would like them to go, and okay, great, yeah, that's one way. Get your will set. But what is the actual duty of a person who's about to die? So there was a gathering of all the different sages, because he was a king. He was a very high-profile figure. He was the emperor of the world, Parikshit. And he had this curse put on him that he would die in 7 days by the degraded Brahminical class. That's what ushered in this whole age, is the degradation of the Brahmins. So all the great sages from everywhere, they came and they were having a meeting. What is the prime duty, the topmost, the supreme, that a person who's about to die should do? And at that point, the son of Srila Yasoda, who had been wandering around in ecstatic trance, entered the assembly. He didn't have any clothes on. This was another age, okay? Things were a little different then. Hare Krishna. He was in ecstatic trance of love of Godhead, having heard the Bhagavatam from his father, who was instructed by the son of Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, to glorify Krishna. And he heard the Bhagavatam when he was in the womb of his mother. His father was reading it, and he didn't want to come out. He just wanted to stay right where he was. But hearing the Bhagavatam, he came out. It said he was in the womb 16 years. He came out fully grown as a youth. It's interesting because when human beings give birth, the baby is not formed and they can't really see very well, they can't talk, they can't walk, they just sit there and cry as their body develops once they're out of the womb. But when I was living in Tennessee, my neighbor invited me to come and watch while he delivered a calf. One of his cows was giving birth. I'd never seen it before. And the calf came out fully formed and started walking around and mooing. I mean, just looked like a mini cow. He's covered with hair, hooves, the whole thing. And just a little cow came out of a big cow, fully formed. So Sukadeva Goswami came out of the womb, fully formed, enlightened, and in ecstatic trance of love of Godhead. He was wandering around like that, and wherever he went, he was so extraordinary. They didn't know what to make of it, and he was getting harassed quite a bit. He was followed by crazy people, and it was quite a sight, his following at that time. He wasn't preaching, he was just wandering around in trance, and these various assortment of characters were mostly crazy people were following him around. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. And he wandered into the assembly of the sages on the bank of the Ganges. Maharaj Parikshit, wanting to know, what am I to do? What is my duty now? I'm not a king anymore. I'm about to leave this world. What is my duty now? I'm not a king. I'm not an emperor. I'm leaving. And Sukadeva Goswami wandered into that assembly, and everyone there, the great saints and sages, recognized, oh, okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, here's the answer. This person has the answer. And that's where the Bhagavatam, we have the recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That we have. There are more volumes of Bhagavatam on other planets. Heavenly planets have a lot more volumes. We have what we need. We can do 12 cantos, Srimad Bhagavatam. We're good. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So that was the answer. What should a person do that's about to die? Well, they're not all involved in worldly affairs. They get detached from worldly affairs, and they simply hear and chant about Krishna. So really, no one knows when they're going to die. Everybody is like Maharaj Parikshit. At any moment, a person can die when they're 10 years old, 20 years old. You can die at any time. But if you do make it to, an advanced age, it becomes a little more clear. It's a great blessing to get old, because all the worldly things, they back off as you go, and they're gone. It's like you don't have worldly involvement anymore, and you're free to hear and chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I could go at any time. Most of the people that I know have already left. Well, not most, but many of my generation. Be my turn soon. Let me get ready. Summary study of the 10th canto. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. $5,000 years ago, and still fresh and new. Fresh and new. Eternally the same. Okay. He's saying Krishna, 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 Krishna. Okay. Goes to Srila Prabhupada. Let's see. Vision of the universal form. Vasudeva has sent his astrologer Gargamuni to Vrindavan to do the name-giving ceremony and to describe the boy's history, past lives, and what to expect in the future. He's given them names quietly because they don't want to arouse the attention of Kamsa. And evidently Gargamuni could see past, present, and future. told Nanda that the boy's name was not was Krishna, but also, and Vasudev, he would be called by both of those names. He'd also be called Giridhari because of lifting the Govardhan hill, which hadn't happened yet. The Gargamuni could see the future. And now, after the predictions were given, there's a description of some of their activities here. Both Krishna and Balaram were so restless that their mothers, Yasoda and Rohini, would try to protect them from cows, bulls, monkeys, water, fire, and birds while they were executing their household duties. Always being anxious to protect the children and to execute their duties, they were not tranquil. They were not tranquil. Krishna. Krishna and Balaram were so restless that their mothers, Yasoda and Rohini, would try to protect them from cows, bulls, monkeys, water, fire, birds, while they were executing their household duties. Always being anxious to protect the children and to execute their duties, they were not very tranquil. Hey, Lance, Hare Krishna. In a very short time, both Krishna and Balaram began to stand up and slightly move on their legs. When Krishna and Balaram began to walk, other friends of the same age joined them, and together they began to give the highest transcendental pleasure to the gopis, specifically to Mother Yasoda and Rohini. All the gopi friends of Yasoda and Rohini enjoyed the naughty childish activities of Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. In order to enjoy further transcendental bliss, they all assembled and went to Mother Yasoda to lodge complaints against the restless boys. When Krishna was sitting before Mother Yasoda, all the elderly gopis began to lodge complaints against him so that Krishna could hear. They said, "Dear Yasoda, why don't you restrict your naughty Krishna? He comes to our houses along with Balaram every morning and evening, and before the milking of the cows, they let loose the calves, and the calves drink all the milk of the cows. So when we go to milk the cows, we can find no milk. We have to return with empty pots. If we warn Krishna and Balaram about doing this, they simply smile charmingly. We cannot do anything. Also, your Krishna and Balaram find great pleasure in stealing our stock of yogurt and butter from wherever we keep it. When Krishna and Balaram are caught stealing the yogurt and butter, they say, 'Why do you charge us with stealing? Do you think that butter and yogurt are in scarcity in our house?' Sometimes they steal butter, yogurt, and milk and distribute them to the monkeys. When the monkeys are well fed and do not take any more, then your boys chide. 'This milk and butter and yogurt are useless. Even the monkeys won't take it.' And they break the pots and throw them hither and thither. If we keep our stock of yogurt, butter, and milk in a solitary, dark place, your Krishna and Balaram find it in the darkness by the glaring effulgence of the ornaments and jewels on their bodies. If by chance they cannot find the hidden butter and yogurt, they go into our little babies, pinch their bodies so that they cry, and then they go away. If we keep our stock of butter and yogurt high on the ceiling, hanging on a swing, although it is beyond their reach, they arrange to reach it by piling all kinds of wooden crates over the grinding machine. And if they cannot reach, they make a hole in the pot. we think that you better take all the jeweled ornaments from the bodies of your children. On hearing this, Mother Yasoda would say, all right, I will take all the jewels from Krishna so that he cannot see the butter hidden in the darkness. Then the gopis would say, no, don't do this. What good will you do by taking away his jewels? We do not know what kind of boys these are, but even without ornaments, they spread some kind of effulgence so that even in the darkness, they can see everything. Then Mother Yasoda would inform them, all right, keep your butter and yogurt carefully so that they may not reach it. In reply to this, the gopis say, yes, actually we do so, but because we are sometimes engaged in our household duties, these naughty boys enter our house somehow or other and spoil everything. Sometimes, being unable to steal our butter and yogurt out of anger, they pass urine on the clean floor and sometimes spit on it. Just see your boy now. He is hearing this complaint. All day they simply make arrangements to steal our butter and yogurt, and now they are sitting just like very silent good boys. Just see his face. When Mother Yasoda thought to chastise her boy after hearing all the complaints, she saw his pitiable face and smiling. She did not chastise him. Another day, when Krishna and Balaram were playing with their friends, all the boys joined Balaram and told Mother Yasoda that Krishna had eaten clay. On hearing this, Mother Yasoda caught hold of Krishna's hand and said, my dear Krishna, why have you eaten earth in a solitary place? Just see, all your friends, including Balaram, are complaining about you. Being afraid of his mother, Krishna replied, my dear mother, all these boys, including my elder brother Balaram, are speaking lies against me. I have never eaten clay. My elder brother Balaram, while playing with me today, became angry, and therefore he has joined with the other boys to complain against me. They have all combined together to complain, so you will be angry and chastise me. If you think they are truthful, then you can look within my mouth to see whether I have taken clay or not. His mother replied, all right, if you have actually not eaten any clay, then just open your mouth. I shall see. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna was so ordered by his mother, he immediately opened his mouth, just like an ordinary boy. Then Mother Yasoda saw within that mouth the complete opulence of creation. She saw the entire outer space in all directions, mountains, islands, oceans, seas, planets, air, fire, moon, and stars. Along with the moon and the stars, she also saw the entire elements, water, sky, the extensive ethereal existence, along with the total ego and the products of the senses and the controller of the senses, all the demigods, the objects of the senses like sound and smell, etc., and the three qualities of material nature. She also could perceive that within his mouth were all living entities, eternal time, material nature, spiritual nature, activity, consciousness, and different forms of the whole creation. Yasoda could find within the mouth of her child everything necessary for cosmic manifestation. She also saw within his mouth herself, taking Krishna on her lap and having him sucking her breast. Upon seeing all this, she became struck with awe and began to wonder whether she was dreaming or actually seeing something extraordinary. She concluded she was either dreaming or seeing the play of the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She thought she had become mad, mentally deranged, to see all those wonderful things. Then she thought, it may be cosmic mystic power attained by my child, therefore I am perplexed by such visions within his mouth. let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose energy bodily self and bodily possessions are conceived. She then said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, under whose illusory energy I am thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband and Krishna is my son, that all the properties of Nanda Maharaj belong to me, and all the cowherd men and women are my subjects. All this misconception is due to the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. So let me pray to him that he may protect me always. While Mother Yasoda was thinking in this high philosophical way, Lord Krishna again expanded his internal energy just to bewilder her with maternal affection. Immediately, Mother Yasoda forgot all philosophical speculation and accepted Krishna as her own child. She took him on her lap and became overwhelmed with maternal affection. She thus began to think, Krishna is not understandable to the masses through the gross process of knowledge, but he can be received through the Upanishads, Vedanta or mystic yoga system, and Sankhya philosophy. Then she began to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as her own begotten child. Certainly Mother Yasoda had executed many, many pious activities, as a result of which she got the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as her own son who sucked milk from her breast. Similarly, Nanda Maharaj also must have performed many great sacrifices and pious activities for Lord Krishna to become his son and addressed him as father. But it is surprising that Vasudeva and Devaki did not enjoy the transcendental bliss of Krishna's childhood pastimes, although Krishna was their real son. The childhood pastimes of Krishna are glorified even today by many sages and saintly persons, but Vasudeva and Devaki could not enjoy such childhood pastimes personally. The reason for this was explained by Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit as follows. When the best of the Vasus of the name Drona, along with his wife Dara, were ordered to increase progeny by Lord Brahma, they said unto him, quote, Dear Father, we are seeking your benediction. Drona and Dara then took benediction from Brahma that in the future, when they would take birth again within the universe, the Supreme Lord Krishna, in his most attractive feature of childhood, would absorb their whole attention. They took benediction from Brahma. Their dealings with Krishna would be so powerful that simply by hearing of Krishna's childhood activities with them, anyone could very easily cross over the nescience of birth and death. Lord Brahma agreed to give them the benediction. As a result, the same Drona appeared as Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, and the same Dara appeared as Mother Yasoda, the wife of Nanda Maharaj. In this way, Nanda Maharaj and his wife, Mother Yasoda, developed their unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having gotten him as their son. And all the gopis and cowherd men who were associates of Krishna naturally developed their own different feelings of love for Krishna. Therefore, just to fulfill the benediction of Lord Brahma, Lord Krishna appeared along with his plenary expansion Balaram and performed all kinds of childhood pastimes in order to increase the transcendental pleasure of all residents of Vrindavan. Thus in the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 8th chapter of Krishna, vision of the universal form. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ba, Govinda.